The darkness of space stretched endlessly outside the viewport, but Nayari barely noticed it anymore. The young Selthian female kept her eyes down as she worked, her 4 slender arms moving with practiced precision across the navigation console. Her iridescent skin, once vibrant with shifting purple and blue hues, had dulled during her 3 years of captivity aboard the Crimson Venture. "Faster, creature," Captain Drelvoss barked from behind her. The Saurian trader's scaly hand came down hard on her shoulder. "We're approaching the trading lanes. I need those calculations now." Nayari nodded silently, her large almond-shaped eyes remaining fixed on her work. She had learned early that speaking without permission would earn her the shock collar's painful bite. Her thin fingers flew across the display, solving complex spatial equations that would have taken the ship's computer 3 times as long. 5 minutes until optimal jump point, she whispered, her melodic accent still present despite years away from her homeworld. Voss grunted and moved away. Once he was gone, Nayari allowed herself a small sigh of relief. The metal collar around her neck felt heavier today. Perhaps it was just exhaustion. She had been allowed only 4 hours of rest during the last cycle, and her stomach ached from hunger. The captain kept her fed just enough to maintain her mathematical abilities, but never enough to build strength. When her shift ended, Nayari made her way through the narrow corridors to her quarters, really just a storage closet with a thin sleeping mat on the floor. She slipped inside quickly, wanting to avoid the crew. Most ignored her, but some took pleasure in tormenting the alien slave when the captain wasn't watching. Alone in the dark closet, Nayari finally allowed her outer mask to drop. She curled her 4 arms around herself, trying to find comfort where none existed. Her people, the Selthians, were highly valued across the galaxy for their natural mathematical abilities and multiple limbs that could work independently on complex tasks. These gifts, once a source of pride, had become her curse when the raiders came to her homeworld. She still remembered that day. The small research outpost where her family lived had minimal defenses. She had been separated from her parents and younger sibling in the chaos. Sometimes, in her dreams, she still heard their voices calling her name as she was dragged away. Nayari reached into a small hidden pocket she had sewn into her ragged jumpsuit. From it, she withdrew her only possession, a small stone carved with symbols from her homeworld. She ran her fingers over the familiar patterns, a ritual that brought her the only peace she knew these days. 3 escape attempts in her first year had earned her nothing but pain and tighter restrictions. The last attempt had cost her a full meal cycle and left scars along her back that still ached when she slept wrong. Now she merely existed day to day, her once bright spirit growing dimmer with each passing cycle. The ship's engines hummed beneath her, a constant reminder of her prison. Somewhere far away was her home, her family, if they still lived. 3 years felt like a lifetime. A sudden loud alarm made her jump. The stone nearly slipped from her fingers as the ship lurched sideways. The engines made a terrible grinding noise, then went silent. Emergency lights flashed red in her small closet. For the first time in months, Nayari felt something other than despair stir within her. Something was wrong with the ship, and in chaos, sometimes opportunity could be found. She quickly hid her stone and stood waiting for the inevitable call. Soon enough, the door slid open, revealing Voss's angry face. "Engine room. Now," he ordered. "And if you can't fix it, you won't eat for a week." Nayari nodded and followed him into the corridor, her mind racing. Whatever had happened might change nothing. But after 3 years of the same crushing routine, any change felt significant. She had no way of knowing that this engine failure would alter the course of her life forever. Nayari's 4 hands moved quickly over the damaged engine components. The main propulsion system had suffered a catastrophic failure, leaving the Crimson Venture stranded in a rarely traveled sector of space. Captain Voss paced behind her, his tail swishing anxiously. "Well," he demanded, kicking a loose panel near her feet. "The quantum initiator is completely burned out," Nayari explained. keeping her voice even. And the coolant system has multiple ruptures. We cannot move without replacement parts. Voss cursed in his native tongue, the harsh sounds making Nayari flinch. We're 3 weeks from the nearest port at sublight speeds, if we're spotted by pirates. He didn't finish the thought, but his hand moved to the weapon at his hip. The ship's communication officer burst into the engine room. "Captain, a vessel is approaching. They've picked up our distress signal." "What kind of vessel?" Voss asked, suddenly alert. "Human science ship, sir. They're offering assistance." Voss's reptilian eyes narrowed. Humans, always sticking their noses where they don't belong. He considered for a moment. "But they might have the parts we need. Tell them we accept their help." Nayari kept her face carefully blank, but her heart raced. Humans were known for their strange ideas about individual freedoms. They had outlawed slavery centuries ago in their territories, but she knew better than to hope. Voss would never let her near the humans without supervision. 2 hours later, a shuttle from the human vessel, Horizon Explorer, docked with the Crimson Venture. Nayari watched from the shadows as the airlock cycled open, revealing 3 humans in blue uniforms. "Captain William Carter," the tallest human said, extending his hand. "We're on a research mission studying stellar phenomena in this sector." Voss took the hand briefly. "Captain Drell Voss." "Fortunate timing, Captain. We've had a serious engine malfunction." "We'd be happy to help," Carter replied, his eyes scanning the dimly lit docking bay. His gaze paused momentarily when he spotted Nayari in the corner. "My chief engineer has brought diagnostic equipment and some spare parts." A stockier human stepped forward. "Sam Foster, engineering. If you'll show me to your engine room, I can take a look." Voss nodded curtly. "My mechanic will assist you." He gestured for Nayari to approach. "Show Engineer Foster the damage." As Nayari led Sam through the narrow corridors, she could feel his eyes on her. Not the usual stare of curiosity or disgust she received from most species, but something different. When they reached the engine room, he immediately set to work, opening his toolkit. "I've never worked with a Xelthian before," Sam said casually as he scanned the damaged systems. "Your people are supposed to be brilliant mathematicians." Nayari hesitated, unsure if she was permitted to speak freely. Deciding to risk it, she nodded. "Yes, numbers come naturally to us." Sam smiled at her. "That's amazing. I've always struggled with complex equations myself. Mind holding this scanner steady while I check the quantum initiator?" As they worked, Sam continued speaking in a low, friendly voice. He asked technical questions that allowed Nayari to demonstrate her knowledge without revealing too much about her situation. His respect for her expertise was evident. When Voss briefly left to speak with Captain Carter, Sam worked more quickly. He discreetly pulled something from his pocket and handed it to her. "Protein bar," he whispered. "You look like you could use it." Nayari stared at the small wrapped package in shock. It had been years since anyone had given her anything freely. Her hands trembled as she quickly hid it in her clothes. "Thank you," she whispered. Sam nodded, then frowned as he noticed the shock collar around her neck. His eyes flickered with recognition and something else. Anger, perhaps. He opened his mouth to speak, but Voss's heavy footsteps announced his return. "We'll need at least 2 days to complete repairs," Sam announced professionally as the captain entered. "With your mechanic's help, of course." Voss grunted his approval, unaware that something had shifted in the room. A small spark of hope had ignited in Nayari's heart for the first time in years. The repairs continued through the ship's night cycle. Nayari worked tirelessly alongside Sam, their hands moving in a coordinated dance of tools and components. When Voss finally left them alone, trusting the human wouldn't sabotage his own work, Sam seized the opportunity. "Here," he whispered, sliding a small medkit toward her. "For your wrists." Nayari glanced down at her raw skin where the restraints had chafed. She had grown so accustomed to the pain that she barely noticed it anymore. "I cannot accept this," she said softly, pushing it back. "If the captain finds out." "He won't," Sam assured her, gently applying the healing gel himself. The cool relief was immediate, and Nayari had to bite her lip to prevent a gasp of pleasure. My captain knows I'm helping you. He's keeping Voss distracted. Her large eyes widened in surprise. Why would you risk trouble for me? Sam's face grew serious as he worked on the engine. Because where I come from, people aren't property. What Voss is doing is illegal in human space. The concept seemed so foreign to Nayari after years of captivity. She had almost forgotten what freedom felt like. As they worked side by side, Sam told her about Earth and the human colonies. He described oceans and mountains, cities that reached into the clouds, and simple pleasures like feeling rain on your face. What was your home like? He asked during a break, sharing a nutrient pack he had smuggled from his ship. Nayari hesitated, then found herself speaking of Selthia, its crystal forests and floating islands, the mathematical songs her people sang during the Twin Moon festivals. My family lived in a research outpost, she explained, her voice growing softer. My father studied ancient artifacts. My mother taught mathematics to children. My younger sibling had just begun their education when the raiders came. Sam listened intently, passing her a water container when her voice cracked. Such a simple kindness, offering water without demanding anything in return, nearly broke her composure. Do you know if they survived? He asked gently. Nayari shook her head. I was separated during the attack. Captain Voss purchased me from the raiders. I have not heard anything of my family since. A comfortable silence fell between them as they continued working. For the first time in years, Nayari felt seen as a person rather than a tool or possession. The feeling was both wonderful and terrifying. On the second day, as they neared completion of the repairs, Sam spoke more carefully, his voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. My captain has been speaking with his crew. We want to help you. Nayari nearly dropped the calibrator she was holding. Help me? How? I can't say much now, Sam replied, glancing toward the door. But don't lose hope. We won't leave you here. Before she could respond, footsteps approached. They quickly resumed their work positions as Voss entered with Captain Carter. How much longer? Voss demanded. Final calibrations now, sir, Nayari answered promptly, keeping her eyes down. Carter studied her with kind eyes that missed nothing. Your mechanic is quite talented, Captain Voss. We could use someone with her skills on our research missions. Voss's tail stiffened. She is not available for hire or transfer. Her contract with me is permanent. A shame, Carter said mildly, though Nayari noticed his jaw tighten. Well, we'll complete these repairs and be on our way then. After the captains left, Sam worked closer to Nayari. Tonight, he whispered, be ready. Fear and hope warred within her. She had tried to escape 3 times before, each attempt ending in brutal punishment. Yet something about Sam's determined expression made her believe this time might be different. I will be ready, she whispered back, her 4 hands never pausing in their work even as her heart raced with possibility. Later, alone in her closet, Nayari held her small stone carving and did something she hadn't done in years. She prayed to the mathematical constants of the universe for courage. Tomorrow would either bring a new beginning or the end of hope forever. The tension aboard the Crimson Venture was thick enough to cut with a laser knife. Nayari could feel it as she moved through her duties. The weight of Sam's words, be ready, both terrifying and exhilarating. She had learned to hide her emotions well during her years of captivity, but keeping her face blank now required all her concentration. Captain Voss seemed agitated, pacing the bridge and barking orders more harshly than usual. The proximity of the human vessel clearly unsettled him. Twice he ordered Nayari to run diagnostic checks that weren't necessary, his eyes following her every movement with suspicion. The humans complete their repairs today, he told his first officer, a brutal Kravaki named Jorex. I want us ready to jump immediately after they leave. Something doesn't feel right. Nayari pretended to focus on her console, but her sensitive hearing caught every word. Her stomach tightened with anxiety. If Voss decided to depart the moment repairs were complete, Whatever plan Sam and Captain Carter had conceived might fail before it began. Later that day, she was sent to the engine room to assist with the final calibrations. Sam was already there, working alongside another human engineer. When the other engineer engaged Voss's crew member in discussion, Sam quickly moved to Nayari's side. Tonight, during third shift, he murmured, pretending to check readings on a panel near her. "We have a plan, but I need to know, is there tracking tech in your collar?" Nayari nodded almost imperceptibly. "Tracker and shock mechanism. The captain controls it from his quarters." Sam's expression hardened. "We'll need to disable it first. Can you get to airlock 3 without being seen?" "Possibly. During third shift, security is lightest near the cargo section." She hesitated. "But if I'm caught attempting to escape again?" "You won't be alone this time," Sam promised, his eyes meeting hers with fierce determination. Before they could speak further, Captain Carter entered the engine room with Voss. The human captain appeared relaxed, engaging Voss in conversation about trade routes, but Nayari noticed how his eyes continuously scanned the room, assessing. "We'll be finished by evening," Carter announced. "My crew will return to our ship, but I'd like to invite you aboard the Horizon Explorer for dinner, Captain Voss. A gesture of goodwill between our peoples." Voss looked suspicious but intrigued. "An interesting offer. I accept." As the captains left, Nayari caught Carter giving Sam a subtle nod. The plan was taking shape around her, pieces moving into position like a complex equation working toward solution. Hours later, as she delivered navigation reports to the bridge, Nayari overheard Voss speaking with Jorx in his private office. "Once we reach Carax's station, I'm selling the Xelthian," Voss said. "These humans ask too many questions. Their presence in this sector is problematic." "She brings good profit with her skills," Jorx argued. "And will bring more in the slave markets of Caraxes," Voss replied coldly. "The mining colonies are always looking for mathematically gifted species. They burn through them quickly in the probability mines." Nayari froze, her breath catching. The probability mines were notorious. Few survived more than a year there. Their minds burned out from constant calculation of quantum variations. She had just heard her death sentence. That evening, as Voss prepared to dine aboard the Horizon Explorer, Nayari was locked in her closet. But this time, something different happened. The door slid open, revealing not a guard, but a human woman wearing the security uniform of the Horizon Explorer. "I'm Lisa," she whispered, passing Nayari a small device. "Sam sent me. This will help neutralize your collar's tracker temporarily. Put it against the back of the collar now." With trembling hands, Nayari did as instructed. The device made a soft clicking sound. "You have 30 minutes before it reactivates," Lisa explained, checking the corridor. "Sam will meet you at airlock 3. Captain Carter is keeping Voss occupied." As Nayari followed Lisa through the dim corridors, her 4 hands clenched with determination. After 3 years of captivity, freedom was potentially just minutes away. Yet experience had taught her that hope was the most dangerous emotion of all. Still, she moved forward, step by careful step, toward whatever awaited at airlock 3. Dinner aboard the Horizon Explorer was not proceeding as Captain Carter had hoped. Voss sat stiffly at the table in the officers' dining room, his reptilian eyes darting suspiciously between the human crew members. The conversation had been tense from the start. "Your hospitality is unexpected," Voss said, sampling the food cautiously. "Most species avoid interaction with traders like myself." "We believe in building relationships across cultures," Carter replied smoothly. "Even when our practices differ." Voss's scaled lips pulled back in what might have been a smile. "Diplomatic words, Captain. Yet I notice your engineer seems particularly interested in my Xelthian property." Carter maintained his composure. "Sam has never worked with a 4-armed species before. Professional curiosity." "Professional curiosity," Voss repeated, setting down his utensil. "Is that why he's been treating her injuries and smuggling her food?" The dining room fell silent. Carter's face hardened, the pretense of casual diplomacy evaporating. Perhaps we should speak plainly, Captain Voss, Carter said. Slavery is illegal in human space. What you're doing violates multiple interstellar treaties. Voss hissed softly. We are not in human space, Captain, and what I do with my property is my business. We've transmitted evidence of your slave trading to Earth Alliance authorities, Carter continued, his voice level despite the tension. But we're prepared to offer you a deal. Release the Selthian to us, and we'll let you leave this sector without incident. Voss stood abruptly, knocking his chair backward. You dare threaten me on your own ship? Unwise. Human. It's not a threat, Carter replied, also rising. It's an opportunity to resolve this without conflict. Meanwhile, aboard the Crimson Venture, Nayari and Lisa crept through shadowy corridors toward Airlock 3. They had almost reached it when an alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Intruder alert. Security breach in Sector 4. The ship's computer announced. They've discovered I'm missing, Nayari whispered, her forehands trembling. Lisa quickly checked her communicator. Change of plan. Sam says we need to get to the backup location. This way. They diverted down a maintenance tunnel, the sounds of running footsteps echoing behind them. They emerged near the cargo bay, where Sam was waiting by a service airlock. Nayari, he called, relief evident on his face. Quickly, Voss has ordered his crew to find you. He's threatened Captain Carter. As they reached him, Jorx and 2 security officers appeared at the far end of the corridor. Stop them, Jorx bellowed, drawing his weapon. Nayari froze in terror, but Sam pulled her behind cargo containers as Lisa returned fire, forcing the pursuing crew to take cover. The shuttle's docked just outside this airlock, Sam explained, working to override the lock. Once we're aboard, we can return to the horizon. Suddenly, Nayari gasped in pain, collapsing to her knees. Her collar had activated, sending waves of agony through her body. Voss must have triggered it remotely, she managed through clenched teeth. Sam quickly examined the collar. I can remove it, but I need time. We don't have time, Lisa shouted, exchanging fire with Jorx's team. On the Horizon Explorer, the confrontation had escalated. Voss held a small controller, his thumb pressed firmly on a button. Your people will return my property now, he snarled at Carter, or I increase the collar's output until her nervous system fails. Carter's officers had moved into position around the room, but no one drew weapons. Think carefully about your next move, Carter warned. You're outnumbered, and assaulting a sentient being is a serious offense. Voss laughed harshly. Offense? She's merchandise, nothing more. She's a person, Carter replied, his voice quiet but firm. With rights that we recognize, even if you don't. Back on the Crimson Venture, Sam worked desperately to disable the collar as Nayari writhed in pain. Using tools from his kit, he located the locking mechanism. Hold on, he urged her. Just a few more seconds. Lisa maintained suppressive fire, but she was being pushed back by Jorx's team. Whatever you're doing, hurry, she called. With a final twist of his tool, Sam deactivated the collar. The pain stopped, and Nayari gasped for breath. Her vision cleared to see Sam's concerned face above her. Can you stand? He asked gently. She nodded, her forearms pushing herself upright with his help. The airlock was open now, the shuttle waiting just beyond. Freedom was one step away, but between them and that step stood Jorx and his armed guards, advancing steadily despite Lisa's efforts to hold them back. Get to the shuttle, Lisa shouted, firing her weapon to keep Jorx and his men pinned down. I'll cover you. Sam supported Nayari as they moved toward the airlock. Her legs were still weak from the collar's punishment, but determination pushed her forward. Freedom was just meters away. Jorx bellowed orders to his men. Shoot the human if you must, but I want the Selthian alive. A blast struck the wall near Sam's head, showering them with sparks. He pulled Nayari down behind a stack of cargo containers. We need to cross that open space to reach the airlock, Sam said, pointing to the 10 meters of exposed corridor ahead. "Can you run?" Nayari assessed her strength. Her people were not built for sprinting, but adrenaline was flooding her system. "I will run," she promised. Aboard the Horizon Explorer, the standoff continued. Voss stared at the small controller in his hand with confusion. "She should be unconscious by now," he muttered, repeatedly pressing the button. Captain Carter's communicator chirped. He glanced at it, then allowed himself a small smile. "It seems your collar has been deactivated, Captain Voss," he said calmly. "Your leverage is gone." Voss roared with anger, throwing the useless controller across the room. "You've stolen my property. This is piracy." "No," Carter corrected him. "This is a rescue mission, and it's nearly complete." Voss lunged toward Carter, but 2 security officers quickly restrained him. He thrashed in their grip, his tail whipping dangerously. "You have no right. Your human laws don't apply here." "Actually," Carter said, checking his communicator again, "we're technically in a disputed sector. And I've just received confirmation that an Earth Alliance patrol vessel is 20 minutes away. They're very interested in discussing your slaving operation." Back on the Crimson Venture, Sam counted down. 3, 2, 1, now. They burst from cover, sprinting toward the airlock. Lisa intensified her covering fire, forcing Jorx and his men to duck. Nayari's forelegs pumped furiously, her heart's pounding with exertion and fear. A shot caught Sam in the shoulder, spinning him around. He cried out but kept moving, still holding Nayari's arm. Almost there, he gasped through the pain. They reached the airlock, Sam punching the control panel. The door slid open, revealing the shuttle beyond. Lisa backed toward them, still firing. "Get in," she ordered. Nayari helped Sam into the shuttle, his blood staining her hands. Lisa jumped in after them, sealing the door just as Jorx's men reached it. They pounded furiously on the metal, unable to breach it. "Disengage docking clamps," Lisa commanded, taking the pilot's seat. "Shuttle to Horizon Explorer. We have the package." "Sam is injured. Request immediate departure." The shuttle pulled away from the Crimson Venture as Nayari applied emergency medical gel to Sam's wound. "You're going to be okay," she told him, her musical voice tight with concern. Sam managed a smile through his pain. "Worth it," he said. "You're free now." The shuttle raced toward the Horizon Explorer, but alarms suddenly blared. "They're powering weapons," Lisa shouted. "Hang on." The Crimson Venture fired, the shot passing just meters from the shuttle. The small craft shuddered violently. "Horizon Explorer, we need cover fire now," Lisa called urgently. On the Horizon's bridge, Carter had returned and was assessing the situation. "Target their weapons array only," he ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The science vessel, normally equipped with minimal armaments, fired precision shots that struck the Crimson Venture's main weapon emplacements. Sparks erupted across the slaver ship's hull. "Shuttle is 30 seconds from docking," an officer reported. "As soon as they're aboard, prepare for immediate departure," Carter replied. "Maximum speed." The shuttle slipped into the Horizon's docking bay moments later. Medical teams rushed forward to help Sam, while Nayari stood in shock, realizing she was standing on a ship where she wasn't property. The Horizon Explorer shuddered as it accelerated away from the damaged Crimson Venture. On the bridge, Carter watched the slaver ship growing smaller on the view screen. "Captain," his navigator called. "The Alliance patrol has entered the sector. They're moving to intercept the Crimson Venture." Carter nodded with satisfaction. "Set course for Earth Station Delta. Best speed." In the medical bay, Nayari held Sam's hand as doctors treated his injury. For the first time in 3 years, the metal collar was gone from her neck. She touched the raw skin there, hardly able to believe it was real. "Thank you," she whispered. "You risked everything for me." Sam squeezed her hand gently. "Welcome to freedom," he said. 3 weeks after her rescue, Nayari stood by the observation window on Earth Station Delta, watching the blue-green planet below. Her reflection showed the changes in her appearance. Her iridescent skin had regained much of its luster, shifting between purple and blue in the station's light. The raw marks around her neck had begun to fade, though the memories they represented would take longer to heal. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Sam asked, joining her at the window. His arm was no longer in a sling, though he still moved carefully to protect his healing shoulder. "I never thought I would see Earth," Nayari replied softly. For years, it was just a name Captain Voss mentioned with contempt. Sam smiled. "He had reason to fear us. The Alliance patrol caught up with the Crimson Venture before it could reach neutral space. Voss is facing multiple charges of slavery, assault, and trafficking." The news brought Nayari no joy, only a quiet sense of closure. Revenge had never been her goal, only freedom. "The legal officer wants to see you again tomorrow," Sam continued. "Your testimony has been crucial in building the case against Voss and identifying other slavers in the sector." Nayari nodded, her four hands clasped together in what Sam had learned was a gesture of nervousness among her people. "What happens after the trial?" she asked, the question that had been weighing on her for days finally emerging. Before Sam could answer, Captain Carter approached them, carrying a data tablet. "Good news," he announced. "I've been in contact with the Celthian consulate. They've confirmed your identity based on the genetic sample we provided." Nayari's large eyes widened. "My family. Do they know if—" "They're alive," Carter said, his face breaking into a warm smile. "Your parents and siblings survived the raid. They've been searching for you for 3 years." Nayari's legs weakened beneath her. Sam quickly supported her as she processed the information, her hands trembling. "Alive," she whispered, tears gathering in her eyes. "All this time, I thought." "There's more," Carter continued. "The Alliance has arranged transport to take you home. Once the legal proceedings are complete, you could be reunited with your family within a month." The tears flowed freely now, running down Nayari's cheeks in shimmering trails. 3 years of suppressed emotions broke through the careful walls she had built to survive. Sam kept his arm around her shoulders, steadying her. Later that evening, Nayari joined Sam and several crew members from the Horizon Explorer for dinner in the station's garden dome. Real plants surrounded them, a luxury she had almost forgotten existed. The conversation flowed easily now that she'd had time to adjust to speaking freely without fear of punishment. "What will you do when you get home?" Lisa asked, passing Nayari a plate of earth fruits to try. "I want to study," Nayari replied after careful consideration. "Before my capture, I was beginning advanced mathematical theory. I want to finish my education." She paused, looking at the humans who had risked their lives to save someone they barely knew. "And I want to work with the Alliance Anti-Slavery Coalition," she added with newfound determination. "There are many others like me who need help." Sam nodded approvingly. "You'd be an incredible advocate. No one understands the importance of that work better than you." As evening settled over the station, Sam took Nayari to a special observation deck timed perfectly for Earth's sunset. They watched in silence as golden light painted the planet's atmosphere in brilliant colors. "In Celthian culture," Nayari said quietly, "we believe that witnessing beauty after hardship is not coincidence, but balance, the universe's mathematics evening out." Sam smiled. "What does this sunset represent for you?" Nayari considered the question, her four hands opening in a Celthian gesture of acceptance. "New equations," she said finally. "New possibilities." The light from Earth bathed her face, illuminating the hope that had returned to her eyes. In one terrible moment 3 years ago, her life had been stolen from her. And in another moment, when a human engineer offered kindness instead of cruelty, it had begun again. As the sun slipped below Earth's horizon, Nayari faced the darkness without fear, knowing that like all nights, it would eventually yield to dawn. Her new beginning had already started.